Gravity. Duplicate attack. Time to fight now. A private citadel. Time to fight now. Shielded. A private citadel. Gift because entertaining.
Just need a
Hurry! Oh, same as always. Inescapable. A vitality boon. Reconstructing early. Now, this one. A private citadel. A vitality boon. Gravity. A private citadel. Duplicate attack. Inescapable. Be renewed. A private citadel. Duplicate attack. A private citadel. The state of battle fills the air. Gift for murdering all. Repeat my challenge.
Hello everybody, my name is Xantho, and today is going to be a guide for my Blade Trap Trickster / Saboteur. This is not a new concept, nor is it a new build. This is simply my take on it. This is going to be basically a full guide. Not with everything. Most of the stuff is going to be in the PoBs anyway. With the PoBs contain fill leveling sections for trees, for item progression, gear progression, all the way through the acts and into endgame. So most of the information is there. There's an FAQ in the notes sections. Some of this guide is going to be in PowerPoint. Some of this guide is going to be just me rambling over a PoB and in game. So bear with me and strap in. And without further ado, let's begin. What this build excels at. This build excels at being defense and tankiness, aka not dying. It excels at bossing, excels at invitations, and excels at general difficult content. What this build falls behind at. It has only mediocre clear speed, kind of has average non-projectile trap clear, so I would say it's considerably better than like something like explosive trap. It's similar to exsanguinate / seismic trap. It's got solid but not crazy DPS, only about 22 to 25 million on the endgame version. Though you can push that higher up to like 30 to 35 million if you sacrifice some defenses. Based on personal preference. And the build progression. You might hit some small roadblocks when saving for the next gear piece, because every gear piece you get to get toward the end game version is massive boosts in character power. So you might hit some small roadblocks in progression, though it's not really an issue because you can basically do red maps on like 10-15 C in gear. No problem. So yeah, that's basically it. And let's start the guide. Alright, let's get into the nitty gritty of what the build actually is. This build is a Ephemeral Edge ES stacking Blade Trap Trickster / Saboteur. The way it works is we stack a lot of ES, not ungodly amounts. If you're 16,000 is honestly overkill, and you get better tankiness by building defenses in other ways. But the reason we're doing this is because of the Ephemeral Edge weapon. It's a one-handed sword, and the last line on it states, attacks with this weapon have added maximum lightning damage equal to 20% of your maximum energy shield. So if you have 11,457 ES, it'll be 2,291 flat lightning damage to attacks. That's 1 to that, so it's actually going to be half that. So basically about 1,145 flat lightning to attacks, which is an insane number. And that also gets scaled up from volatility, because volatility doesn't really do anything to the minimum because it's basically 1 to that number. So the 70% less minimum attack damage doesn't really affect lightning damage that much because lightning damage already has very low min rolls. But the 60% more maximum attack damage is going to scale that maximum number. And on average, you're going to get huge multipliers by using volatility. So that's the general idea of the build, is we just stack ES, quite a bit of it. We use Blade Trap, because Blade Trap is basically the highest damage effectiveness attack in the game, because it has a 97% damage effectiveness at level 21. However, it rotates 4 times, hitting 2 times each rotation. And with a Helmet Enchant, it hits 5 times. However, Helmet Enchants are now gone, and the base quality of the skill is now going to give +1 rotation, which is +2 hits, so it's going to hit 10 times with 20% quality on your gem. So basically that turns the 97% damage effectiveness into a 970% damage effectiveness. Now the downsides of Blade Trap are that it's double delayed damage. 1, it's a trap. 2, it takes time to actually do its rotations and do all of its damage. And 3, the AoE is quite small. However, if we run Saboteur, we can get lots of AoE because all of the small nodes give 8% AoE each. So 8%, 8%, 8%, and 8%. And, actually this should be this. So, and Chain Reaction gives you 50% increased area of effect there, which is another 50% AoE. And we're also running medium cluster jewels with AoE on them, so 15% there for skills used by traps. And in total, we are getting an AoE radius of 3.3 from a base of about, I think it's 2.4 at level 21. So our AoE, if I can find it here, why am I missing it? Here we go. Is actually quite large. Very large compared to base. I think it's like almost double, more than double the total square area of base. So the clear is honestly not terrible. It's about average for a trap build that's non-projectile based. It's much better than something like, say, Explosive Trap, because Explosive Trap has pretty terrible clear, let's be honest here. So it's better than Explosive Trap, so that's a big plus. It has about on par clear with about Exsanguinate Seismic Trap, which has been, a build that's been used league after league after league. It's fallen out of favor a little bit, but it's been used in a ton of different leagues. And it has about average clear to that. I will show some footage in a minute here of just me clearing just a random map, just to show you some of the AoE of the Saboteur version. We're using Ghost Ride Chest, which basically turns life into ES. And we're not really scaling any life, we're just getting mass amounts of flat ES from our life pool, from just our normal life scaling from gaining levels. We're using a lot of uniques here, but let's basically let's go over the defenses real quick. Let's go into another PowerPoint presentation and go over the defenses. Now we're going to go over the defenses of the build, which is the main draw to the build, because it doesn't have overwhelming DPS and doesn't have the fastest clear speed. But our first thing is damage mitigation. We have a baseline very high EHP through a large ES pool. We have near 90% evade chance and capped 95% evade chance with a Grace Avoid Watcher's Eye, if you opt to go for that. We have capped spell suppression, which is 53% reduction and 63% reduction on full ES if you're a Trickster. 22% less damage taken from unique and rare enemies from the Enfeeble Curse. 20% less damage taken from a capped out sap ailment on enemies. 10% less damage taken for 3 seconds after being hit, sourced from the Punishment's Debilitate effect. 6% reduced elemental damage taken if hit recently from the Lunaris Pantheon. 10% less damage taken from Nature's Patience Keystone from the Natural Affinity Cluster Jewel if you are stationary for a few seconds to get all your vines up. 21% less physical and fire damage taken while stationary from Arctic Armor. 15% reduced damage taken from Saboteurs Born in the Shadows Ascendancy if you opt for the Saboteur version. Average of 20% less damage taken from hits and damage over time from Heartstopper. 50% less damage over time taken for 1 second when you start taking damage over time from Leash Shade. 20% less damage taken of each element from permanent elemental flasks. Around 2,000 additional base HP pool from Sealskin while active. And Skitterbot Chill for slowed enemy action speed, which is kind of a secondary defense layer. Next, we're going to talk about actual ailments and secondary defenses. We are immune to all 3 standard elemental ailments, Ignite, Freeze, and Shock, and with much reduced chill effect due to the Oxium Belt with a high ES pool. We have bleed removal / immunity from activating Steelskin. We have easily capped Chaos Res in the endgame version for drastically reduced poison damage taken. We have corrupted blood immunity from a corrupted implicit under our interrogation unique cluster jewel, which is the one that gives Secrets of Suffering. We are unaffected by curses, which is effectively curse immunity from the Aziri's Reflection Shield. We have around 2,000 passive ES regeneration per second, and 45,000 unstoppable ES recharge per second due to Wicked Ward. We also have a 50% chance of ES recharge to start on Spell Suppressor running the Trickster version, although you can also get this on a forbidden set of Forbidden Jewels optionally if you're on the Saboteur version rather than Heartstopper. So that's basically the defenses of the build, and we're back to the guide. Alright, this is going to be a recording of a recording, so I'm hoping the quality doesn't degrade too much as I'm doing this. This is the build on about a couple of divines of investment. Clearing out just a T... I can't remember what tier map this is. It's quite low. But this is just a demonstration of the AoE of the Saboteur version, which is quite large. Yeah, Saboteur gets very large Blade Trap AoE, and it makes clearing pretty smooth actually, albeit pretty mediocre. Still rather smooth. It can be made better if you use cluster traps or Swift Assembly. I was using Swift Assembly here because I didn't have a level of cluster traps in my stash, so I just ran them out. But it does get better clear with cluster traps. So basically that is basically just the clear there. And now we're going to go back to the build guide. Now here's how to use the PoBs and get the PoBs. I'm going to be linking a PoB bin link in the description. That's how you actually get the PoBs, which will have a list of my builds, which I might be running this league. And the 2 builds that I'm probably going to be running, and that's Ephemeral Blade Trap Trickster and Ephemeral Blade Trap Saboteur. I'm definitely going to be starting as Saboteur because I just like the AoE. I like the easy access to Pyromaniac regeneration. And basically, you're going to click on it, and then you're going to either copy this and paste it into the code section of PoB, or you're simply going to click the Open button, which is going to open this in PoB, and you can save it. And in these PoBs, we have a notes section, which has common questions that I'm expecting to either get or other ones maybe people haven't thought of, but just kind of FAQ type stuff. I've put together full leveling trees for Act 1 all the way through Endgame. So Act 1, all the way through Endgame here. So those are in there. I also have skill progression, everything you need for Acts 1 and 2, 3, 4, everything you need there, all the way through Endgame. And same with the items, although the items are kind of sparse because you don't really need much during the acts, other than maybe a couple uniques here and there, if you can afford them. Big one being Crown of Thorns, because that allows you to use Energy Blade early, which is huge for Blade Trap. Basically makes you disgustingly overpowered for the entire campaign until you switch to Ephemeral Edge. So everything's in there. Everything's in these PoBs. All of the leveling. Pretty much everything's there. So basically, that's how you use the PoBs. You can save them if you wish. I'm going to be starting Saboteur because Saboteur simply has more AoE and has access to Pyromaniac early, which is really nice. Trickster is probably better for bossing in the end because it has more consistent recovery from Spellbreaker. And also, it's a little bit easier to gear because you don't need spell suppression on your gloves. You do need some spell suppression on your gloves if you're going for the Saboteur version. And you need... what else do you need? Yeah, you just need suppression on your gloves to cap out on 100% spell suppress. And Trickster does not need to do that, so it's easier to gear, at least for the glove slot. But basically that is it. That's kind of all you need to know. If you have any questions, I mean any questions at all, just shoot me a comment on YouTube. I'll try to answer as quickly as I possibly can. I mean, the league's coming out in a week now, so that's a lot of time for me to answer questions. So just shoot me a question. I will answer it as soon as I possibly can. I'm on the YouTube a lot, so I'll probably get the notification. I'll probably answer you probably within the day. Usually a lot faster than that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the build guide. You know, heavy air quotes around build guide. More of an overview of the build, and then just be showing you the PoB, which has basically everything you need to know. And an overview of what the build is, what it can do, the defenses, a little bit of the clear, a little bit of what it excels at, what it doesn't excel at. Now, I'm going to be completely and frankly honest. This is not an amazing league starter, mostly because it hits some roadblocks, as I said in the introduction section. It can take a couple of roadblocks in gearing, and it's not the fastest clear speed. You would, if you just want to just zoom into red tier maps and just delete bosses, I would probably suggest another build. This is kind of a play at your own pace type of build. However, it is very fun, at least in my opinion. It gets very strong in endgame. It gets incredibly tanky. And it's kind of a hardcore build in softcore. And I don't like dying, so it's pretty fun to me. So if you enjoy builds that don't die a lot, if you enjoy builds you can just kind of AFK and invitations in the feared, you know, then you'll like this. And that demonstration of the feared way earlier in the video, at the very beginning, that was last league, my build last league, which actually was far less tanky than the one in this league. That one only had about 190,000 effective hit pool, and this is pushing close to 400,000. So it's almost twice as tanky. So if that demonstration is almost inaccurate, I just don't have any footage right now of a current character because I simply don't have a geared character. I just have a couple divines put into a geared character, and that's basically it. That was what I used for the clear demonstration. But that's basically going to be it, you guys. I hope you have fun. Hope you like the PoBs, and peace out.